Hello YouTubers and welcome to another episode of the vlogs. Today, as you can tell, we're not at Leander Club yet, and this is the beauty of the off season. Like I mentioned in yesterday's video, it's about reducing the pressure, reducing the maybe the intensity for the actual training itself, taking your time and just trying to enjoy it. So Yam and I had a little bit of a lie-in today, and I've got my breaded egg toast burrito edition here with some different flavors. So I've got some buffalo wing sauce on one of them, a barbecue version, and a plain version as well. Hopefully absolutely delicious. But we're chilling out for this morning, then we'll head to the club before lunch and then get an erg in. I think an erg, maybe a bike if I can find my shoes. But we're going to play with Yam as well. Yam's been excellent. I followed him outside and he took himself out to the toilet. So well done, Yam. Good job, Yam. And he's currently eating a leaf. Yam, stop that. Come here. He has a fascination with leaves. But now we're going to fuel up, because remember, food is fuel. And this top two, just Yam on it, a new addition to yamsquad.com. If you want to head to the link in the description below to check out any of the new additions to the website. I'm trying to add stuff more regularly, so if you wanted to go ahead. But now it is time to fuel up. And we've finished breakfast and we're ready to go to the club and get on that ergo. So let's get to the club nice and safe. Isn't that right, Yam? Not paying attention. Oh yeah, let's get it. And we have made it to the club nice and safe. Yam fallen asleep there in the car. I tried to catch him, nodding off. Good boy! And a treat for weeing outside. Good boy. Clever Yam. Who's a clever sweet potato? Yes. And that's try to potty train him, just a little bit of reward for peeing outside. But now it's time to go exercise for the day. So hopefully Yam will relax and cheer me on once again. So let's get to it. And that is us finished. The 16k on the erg. Good boy. Good boy. And that's Yam just practicing doing a toilet outside. Well done, good boy. So, with the cheerleader next to me, the motivation was high. And that's what I want to talk about this morning, is motivation. Or this afternoon. This morning? We're just into the afternoon. About motivation. Toilet, good job. Good job. About motivation, because I keep saying motivation is a massive, massive thing, and I joke about having Yam motivate and cheerlead through the sessions, but motivation during the off season, when you're training by yourself, and any point, is absolutely massive. So on that session, I felt highly motivated. So my split was, so yesterday was 53.8, today was 52.4, and the heart rate was a little bit higher. And I let it go a little bit higher because I felt motivated to do so. Sometimes you want to, especially like I've already talked about, drop the intensity to make the erg basically feel it easier because the motivation isn't so high. But then when the motivation is higher, then sometimes you just want to pull a bit harder and see what split you can end up with. And today wasn't quite see what split I could end up with, but it was more of a, okay, how much can I bring it lower than yesterday? So the other day it was 56, then yesterday it was 50, just under 54, today it was just over 52. And I'm not trying to get to my UT2 split, but as I do more and more miles, it will get closer and closer to my normal UT2 split, so under 50 for the long distances. So if I'm doing, say, 16k, I would want that to be under 50, 150 split. But another huge part is using and understanding when you are motivated. So I think I've rode enough and trained enough and exercised enough to know when you're in one of those moods that's like, oh my goodness, I'm not really want to push myself here. Some days you don't want to, but you have to. Some days you don't want to and you don't need to. Some days you have to and you want to. So it's using the motivation that you have and understanding when you have it, and also when you are motivated, use it. Use those days when you're motivated. Say it is going out a run. Go out and go get some exercise in. But if you're not motivated, it's finding out things that work for you to just get that little bit more out of yourself. So for me, sometimes when I'm not so motivated on the erg, I've spoken about this before, I'll use different timings. I'll use different countings. I'll play different games in my head to pass the time. So say it's a 16k and I'm struggling, I'm like, oh my goodness, so say I've went 2k in and I'm already hanging. So I'm 2k in, I'm at 14k, and I'll say, okay, let's get to 13,333, odd numbers. Then I'll say, okay, I've passed 13,333, let's get to 11,1. And then you're like, okay, let's get to 4 digits, 9999, 7777, all the way down, let's get to 3 digits. And that just passes the time, and you can figure out your own sort of little games that you can figure out. I sometimes also count my heart rate. That erg there, my heart rate monitor, as you saw at the very start, was giving me a major jip. I had to switch ergos and it was on and off and on and off, but I was getting my heart rate at the end there, low, high 140s, the average lower than that. Don't know the exact average today, but again, the motivation was a bit higher, so I let it drift up a bit more, and then the splits were a bit lower. But a little game as well, playing, counting my heart rate, which essentially gives me a minute each time I want to roughly count my heart rate. So when it's above 130 for me on the rowing machine, I can feel my heart beat because it's low. It's a basically non-impact exercise, so I can count my heart rate essentially for as long as I want to. So usually I look at the screen, okay, there's 17 minutes in, I'll start counting my heartbeats, and then at 18 minutes I'll stop, and that'll be my heart rate. And then I'll do that for maybe 5 minutes, and then I'll sort of see that, okay, the first time I counted it was 140, then the next time it was 142, the next time it was 138. So it is around there somewhere. So that passes a huge amount of time for me. That's 5 whole minutes. That's almost, what, 1,500, 1,600 meters that isn't concentrated on sort of technique and just grinding through. And speaking of technique, also on that erg, I was looking at the mirrors this time, so facing away from Yam to also give him the opportunity to understand that I'm not always going to be looking at him when I'm on the erg, but giving myself the opportunity to look in the mirrors and use that to think, okay, let's focus on the arms for 10 strokes or a minute or a K or whatever it is. Let's focus on the legs, let's focus on the body, and giving myself little bits of motivation and advice and whatnot, little games that I can play. But as Yam tangles himself in my foot, hopefully that makes a little bit of sense for motivation on the ergo. Today we're going to fuel up after this session, because remember, food is fuel. It's time for Yam's lunch, time for my lunch. So let's get to the crew room.
Yeah, like you can make me drink this.
And we've made it into the crew room to fuel up. Yam's got his mega food. I've got my mega food. Big plate of carbonara.
Yeah, carbonara.
Yeah, absolutely delicious. Good fueling up after a long erg. And then I'm going to talk about just doing exercise and how that will affect a bit of motivation as well, because that's what I've been really feeling over the last few days anyway. So let's fuel up, oh yeah! And we're out here on this absolutely gorgeous day. Yam's getting some shade before we just head back home, because I think he is getting a bit too hot. It's a bit too hot out here for him. But I was talking about motivation with exercise, and it just really dawns on you when you've got no structured exercise and you've got nobody telling you, okay, this is what you're doing in the program. And it's really obvious that when I don't exercise in a day, I get essentially grumpy. I feel essentially less motivated, less like I want to do something, less like I want to get up and go. And then the last 2 days when I did do an erg, and today obviously, oh yeah, I don't want to fall down. When I did do exercise, is just feeling that bit more energized for the rest of the day, even though you are spending more energy by doing the exercise itself. But that also impacts your motivation, and it is something to think about if you're not one to even just have a schedule. A schedule can really or a program can really sort of bump up that motivation and get you to hold yourself accountable. Say, planning on, okay, I'm going to work out at this time on this day, no matter what. And then if you sort of fail that, you kind of feel guilty. So you're less likely to fail it. So the more exercise, not so much the more exercise you can get in, but getting that exercise in, getting active and getting moving also increases the motivation, and as well, like I spoke about yesterday, improves a little bit of mental health as well. But it is time for the video to end today. We're going to get Yam into some shade. He's been drinking loads of water. And as always, Yam Squad, remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button and have a good one.